We should have had the grant program 5, 6, 7 years ago. I worked on the original proposal for a discount for fortified homes. So it's been like 8 years, and we're just now getting the grant program up and running. A lot of that is difficult. Budgets are difficult, those types of things, but we need to really have that grassroots to push it. Now I want to take it to the next step. It took Alabama 10 years to build 70,000 fortified homes. We don't have 10 years. We need to move fast.
Hi, this is Chris Meredith. I'm running for insurance commissioner in the state of Oklahoma, and this is the future of insurance.
Chris, I appreciate getting to sit down with you for this conversation. For anyone who knows me, they know I never get into politics on the show. So when I got Awais Farouk reached out and said, hey, here's a great guy who's running for, going to be running for commissioner of insurance in Oklahoma, part of me was like, well, that's really nice. And, can't do anything with that. But when you and I chatted, it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with protecting people and doing the right thing. And I think for me, it was very much like speaking to the spirit of what we should be doing. Harken back to a conversation I had with Commissioner Mays from Connecticut around how the DOIs and the carriers and all the constituents can try to actually get back to the core of protecting people, rebuilding correctly so we protect against future issues, all that. I mean, just everything that you said really spoke to, I think, the spirit of our industry. And it wasn't a political campaign or running for office or anything like that. And that's why I wanted to sit down with you. So that's the backdrop for me. Love to hear about you and just kind of share like what is it about why you're doing this?
Yeah, so I'm not a politician. I work in the political field, but it's really more about public policy than like Republicans and Democrats, that type of thing for me. And, I've been inside the system. I seen what's broken and I'm just stepping in to fix it. I mean, it's just kind of one of those deals where I've been behind the scenes, I've been behind the curtains, I've been in the rooms with the executives, with the legislators, the regulators, and I see the problem. And, I love this state, I love this city, and I want to step up and help fix it.
Yeah.
And, I see a crisis developing. It's not just here.
Right.
It started in California, it started in Florida. They've always had problems because of the weather and their systems. Louisiana, Alabama, it's migrating. Texas is starting to feel it. Oklahoma's feeling it, no doubt. And this is a countrywide problem. It's just I'm focused on Oklahoma.
Sure. You're home.
Yes, right.
Every state I was thinking of jumping in with, you hit. And I think that's part of the point is this is increasingly a nationwide issue. I mean, there are people everywhere that are facing this issue of I can't afford my insurance and I can't afford to not have my insurance. And the carriers are actually saying the same thing. We can't afford to insure folks because the economics aren't working out and we can't afford to not insure them, and that's not the right way to do it either. How do we solve for that? And that's, I told you what spoke to me is you had this sort of like growth mindset approach to things that, really, really resonated. Like, what do you think we need to be doing differently?
Yeah. So, I'm glad you said that because I'm just a business guy. I'm a business-minded problem solver. And, luckily, what gives me an advantage in this race and something that needs to be considered and makes me different is 20 plus years in the industry, but also outside of Oklahoma. I've worked in this from California to Florida to Delaware. I mean, I've been everywhere, and I've had the privilege of representing my company at all these national meetings where everyone gathers, the insurance legislators, insurance commissioners, the industry. We gather and we talk about all this stuff. And for me, it's just a matter. There's nothing really novel, although I'm open to novel. I love new ideas and trying new things and being innovative. But there's just so many good ideas that's already been tested all across the country. And all we need to do is just say, okay, what is Oklahoma's problem? Where are we at? And then how have other people solved this problem?
Yeah.
And just applying the best practices that are already in place. And then the second piece to that is overcoming the political side of it. Because there's changes that need to be made in law. And to do that, that's where my next different skill set comes in is leading our government affairs for 10 plus years across the country in, 10, 11 states. I know how to get our grassroots mobilized and get to the legislators. And again, this is not we always like to say, I see these political campaigns that says, I'm fighting for you or you don't need to fight. We need to collaborate. we just need to work together, and we need to raise the issue. The legislators are good people. But they have a lot on their plate, and we've got to raise the issue and say, this has got to be a priority.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do in Oklahoma is say, hey, we got a best practices, in Alabama with the fortified homes, for example, and we need these laws changed to push it forward, and then get our people, our local agents, our roofers, our contractors all together and say, let's go to the legislature and all together say, we want this to be fixed and addressed. And that's kind of the two pieces I want to bring to the office.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you for some specifics. The fortified homes is a key part of that. And that was a bit that resonated with me back to the conversation I had with another commissioner. That he's like, let's look at what's going on in other states. We're not necessarily inventing something that doesn't exist yet, but maybe we're not applying it rationally, or it's getting caught up in people not just taking that. I mean, when you said grassroots, like, let's forget fighting for anything and just how do we help the situation? So fortified homes, what are some of the things that you think are important that could start to make an impact?
Well, what's cool is we're down the path. We're making,
the
department has helped. It's taken 2 commissioners to do it, to pass some laws to get it going, like Alabama's got. And so we're on the right path. It's just taking a snail's pace. And I'm like, we should have had the grant program, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I mean, I worked on the original proposal for a discount for fortified homes. I don't know, it's been like 8 years. And I'm like, and we're just now getting the grant program up and running. And again, I think that's a lot of that is, it's difficult. Budgets are difficult, those types of things. But, we need to really have that grassroots to push it. Now I want to take it to the next step. We don't have, it took Alabama 10 years to build 70,000 fortified homes. We don't have 10 years. We need to move fast. So we've got the legislative side is in place. We've got the grant program. I think we could put more money to it. There's more things we can do with tax credits and incentives at the legislature, but there's also private funding available. Again, when I go across the country, I see stuff like the Federal Reserve Bank, Home Loan Bank in Dallas doing private funding for these things in like Louisiana, Texas. And so, I've already reached out to the Federal Reserve up in Topeka to kind of just copycat. Let's get some money into Oklahoma homes and Habitat for Humanity. And let's start pushing this harder and finding other ways to fund it and just really put it on, I like to say warp speed. I mean, I want to push this program hard and really get stuff up and running.
And is that where kind of the partnership approach is? Insurers are paying for a lot of reconstruction, bringing properties back up to a livable standard after destruction. That feels like a moment where you can insert different building decisions to create a home that's not like for like with what was before the damage, which didn't help because it got damaged and isn't livable. But actually moving it to a place where it's going to hold up better next time. And I know that's not how the policies are written, but you're paying for a delta, then you're not paying for the entire, let's bring the house back to where it was, but then rebuild it from scratch, more resiliently. It's the up cost on it. Are you thinking about things like that, more of a partnership model?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, part of my job is going to be holding them accountable, that we're not just going to build rebuild better. We're building something that's durable. So we're talking about having a home that you don't even have a claim. The best claim is no claim. You don't want to be disrupted in your home. And, that helps with, if you're going to go high deductible, for example, the consumer can handle that a little bit better if they're not expecting to have to file a claim. I mean, the fortified roofing, it takes like a direct hit of F3, F4 to really, these things are, we're seeing more and more evidence from research that these things are holding up to some big time weather events, and they're just wiping it off, man. And this is where we need to be at. We need to have durable, long lasting roofing in Oklahoma. I mean, roofing is the issue. That is the issue in Oklahoma.
For sure.
Not necessarily tornadoes. They are a problem, but the roofing with the wind and the hail is what's driving our insurance issue here. And that's why I'm focused in on that.
Yeah. You can raise your deductible to make your insurance more affordable, but if you're not changing the thing that you're insuring, then you're basically just asking for financial ruin, especially with the frequency and severity now of these severe convective storms. And like, you sort of have to bank on the fact that your house is likely to get hit at some point now. I mean, there's a sort of swath down the middle of the country that I feel like it's constantly a hailstorm in like 40% of the landmass of the country at this point.
Absolutely. And, it's not, that's the thing. I mean, the insurance companies know that. That's why they don't want the risk is so high, is because it's definitely going to happen. It's like, it's not even like the probabilities are just so high that you're going to get hit. And I mean, when weather comes here, it's like a line. It's like goes all the way across the state and just moves across the whole state. I mean, you're just lucky if you don't get hit. Yeah.
As an aside, but tied to this, have you ever been to Mount Washington?
I have not.
New Hampshire. Okay, there's an observation house at the top, like where they do scientific research and whatnot. The winds have breached 200 miles per hour up there. So the roof on that building is chained down. And I think normal people look at that and say something like, oh, wow. I looked at that as an insurance person like, I wonder if the roof blew off and then they chained it, or did they chain it proactively, predict and prevent kind of thing. But that's sort of what you're getting at, is maybe not chaining roofs, but that notion of let's not wait for the roof to blow off before we try to solve for this.
Absolutely. I mean, in the fortified roof program, we don't have to build a castle in Oklahoma. All we need is, part of the roof, it clamps the decking down to the structure, and then you use a tape over the gaps, because you got to have these gaps because they expand and contract. And then you put the hail resistant shingle with a lot more nails in it, and a different kind of nail. Now you've got, it's not just the hail that hits it and bounces off, no damage, but it keeps the wind from blowing those things. If you see the shingles come up, then you have water entry. And if you don't have those deckings sealed, you basically have a waterfall into your house. I mean, it's just going to come down and go right into your house. And that's really where you've got some big time problems. So that's, we don't have to chain it, but the clamps for the decking, big time. I mean, that's the same concept. Yeah.
No, definitely. I'm not advocating for people to go putting chains in their house, but what we're talking about is it's dominoes start falling. Is that like you let it in, and then one by one you talk about water coming in. Maybe not as much of an issue in Oklahoma, but up north, then it's going to freeze. Like the story continues to just get worse. You get mold issues, but you could have stopped it, or almost always you could stop it with the right kind of building decisions up front.
That's right.
Chris, what's the path from here? How do you get to office? What is necessary? I mean, you mentioned grassroots. I know that's something that really resonated when we talked last time.
The grassroots, to me, the campaign and the grassroots building is at the same, that's happening at the same time. I'm building the network that I'm talking about implementing once we get in there, so that's already built. I want, I go around and, I think about like a base, you talk about political bases. My base is the insurance agent. They're in every community, every county in Oklahoma. They know what's going on in their community. They're plugged in everywhere, and they know the problems. They're the front line. And just, visiting with them and building that, we're one team, and we're able to go get things done. The campaign is just step one. It's like, okay, I need you to help me get elected. The primary's coming up in June next year. So I got to build this base up of agents, and I want to hear their voice, and they're telling me what they're seeing and the problems they're having. So I also get to listen to that and know where to focus and other problems that they're seeing. So it's kind of a combo of, but that's kind of the next steps that have to happen. We've got to move as one team, and same with roofing people. I mean, roofing people, contractors, mitigation specialists. I've got this vision of, when I think about insurance for Oklahoma, I put the customer right in the middle. The Oklahoma citizen, the homeowner, the citizen, with the consumer, they're in the middle. And then we have the insurance companies and the roofers and the contractors like in a circle around them. My job, they always talked about customer centricity, being in the middle. It's all about the customer. Well, that's what I want. As commissioner, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about all these services we have, and we're supposed to be serving this customer. And really, I want to eliminate any friction. If there's a problem, it needs to be between the service providers, not necessarily the customer. So I want to get them educated and make sure that we're serving them as the primary goal.
Well, as I said, I'm not political. I'm not talking parties or anything like that, but neither are you. And I appreciate that. It is about the essence of what we're supposed to be doing in this industry. So the only thing I will ask you in return is when you're commissioner, you got to come back on the show and talk about how you got the impact that you got and got it as quickly as you did, so all the other states can mirror that and we can start to move things forward.
Yeah, I would love to. That'd be great. And I've got some insights already that it really just comes down to, do you care about it enough? And
Yeah.
I did a radio show Saturday at 8 a.m. and I was like, it takes a really strange person or a special person to get up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday and just sit there and talk about insurance. But that's what I do. I don't know how it happened, but I just love doing it. And part of it is, I've seen what can happen with the 2013 tornado in Moore, Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, the devastation. But I also saw what insurance does to get people back on their feet and really be there for them. And that when they really need help. And that's where I fell in love with insurance. And that's why I'm here today. So,
yeah. Oh, I love that. Chris, thank you for sitting down with me. Good luck with the campaign going forward. And I will hold you to that after you're in office and get some of these things moving. We'll have to talk about it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to get it done.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bryan.